Looking at homework 3, the first question you're going to see is just graph this direct variation. I've already graphed a straight line there. We know that it goes through 0, 0 because all direct variations go through 0, 0, and then I just put another point up 3 over 1. Our second question asks us to write this equation, and so they ask us to do a little bit of math here. The first thing we're going to have to do, I'm going to jump over to my whiteboard, is it says the distance varies directly. So direct variation, we think of y equals kx, but we don't use y and x in this problem because it says the distance d varies directly with the time. So in this situation, our formula is going to look like that. They then give us a distance and a time, so we plug those in. And then if we want to find k, we divide both sides by 1.25. And that should give us our k. Our k in this case is going to be equal to, let's type it in a calculator. I'm using Desmos, which is just one that I have on the web here. And 11.2 divided by 1.25 is 8.96. And so that's what I got for my k. So you'll notice the choices here, they're set up with the d and the t, but there's a number switched out for each one. And so we're going to pick 8.96 t. On the next question, we gotta pick the graph. So this one's a bit tough. We have this 8.96. So what does that look like? If we talk about it like a slope, that means it goes up 8.96 and over 1. So up 9 over 1. Up 9 over 1. So if it went up, let's say 30, how much over would it go? So if it goes up 30, it's over about 3. So I'm just trying to come up with a place, and I really don't like these problems because this one in particular, because those graphs are so hideously small. Even when you make it bigger, it's still pretty ugly. They're not even squares. The numbers aren't, it's not 1 in each box, and the scale's different. So it's a little bit tough to look at. But if we look at this one looks a little too steep for me. This would be at like 2 and 30. But at 2, it should only be at 2 times 8.96. So it should be at 2 and 18. So if it was at 30, I might like A. That's a real tricky one. I don't like that graph because it's such an ugly graph. Let's look at this one. It says, tell whether this is a direct variation. And the way we tell whether something is a direct variation is if it should have a constant of variation. What do I multiply x by? And so we're going to go ahead and do y divided by x over and over again and find out what it is. So this first one we say the first one is 27 divided by -6. And I got -4.5. So let's try again. Let's try the second one. I'm just reading off the table. It says -4.5 divided by 1. Obviously, yeah, that works. And then we have -18 divided by 4. So it gave me the same number each time. So guess what? We're going to say, yeah, it's a direct variation. In fact, not only is it a direct variation, we also know what the formula is going to be. And if I see people get this wrong this way, I'm so sad for them, because if they just write 4.5, they'll be wrong. If we're writing the whole equation, we need to write 4.5x. Oh no, I did it backwards. Oh, look at me. I forgot the negative. I hope they give me another chance. All right, I'm going to type in negative. It's okay to get ones wrong on this. Learning math is a lot about learning why you're getting questions wrong. All right, next one. We have a table, an x and y, and it says, is it a direct variation? So we're going to divide the y's and the x's, and we're going to figure out what it is. The catch here is we want to put the y's on top, and the graph is written with the x's on top. So please be careful. Make sure the y's go on top when we do this. Just like when we use slope, the y's are on top, right? So we do 4 divided by 2. That's just 2. And 6 divided by 4. That's not 2. Okay, so this isn't going to work. I got 2 different numbers. So we're going to say, no, it does not vary directly. Suppose y varies directly. Write a direct variation. So we have to write the equation, and then we also have to graph it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find that k. And so we're going to do just like we did. We're going to put the y on top, 8.4, and divide by 1.2. We got 7. So our equation is going to be 7x. Y equals 7x. Let's double check to make sure that makes sense. If I multiply, yeah, that looks like it should work. So now I just have to graph that. All right, I'm going to click to enlarge the graph, and I'm going to pick this thing right here, and I'm going to put a point at 0. Oh, you can move your points if you're off. I'm going to clear that. Try to put it at 0, 0, and then up 7 over 1. Oh, got it, I think. I'm going to double check. That looks right to me. Fantastic. Translate the sentence into an equation. F varies inversely as A. All right. Inversely, all the ones up until this point have been direct. Inversely means that the variable we're talking about goes on the bottom. So the only one that has an A on the bottom of a fraction is going to be this one. This one also varies inversely, and it's asking us to write the equation. So I'm going to switch over to my whiteboard here. When I talk about varies inversely, the formula is actually going to be y equals k over x. In this case, it's actually going to be p equals k. It says p varies inversely as d. So we're going to put the d on the bottom. It gives us a p and a d so that we can plug those in. And so we're going to do that. And we get 3 equals k over 9. If we wanted to find out what the k would be, we'd multiply both sides by 9, and we get 27 equals k. So we can rewrite this equation as p equals 27 over d. And that'd be my equation. They want us to write the equation, so I'm going to type it in. Awesome. All right, here's another one. It says y varies directly. Okay, so we talked about y varies directly means that we're going to have y equals kx. And so when we talk about this problem, we're going to go ahead and plug in the y and the x they give us. They give us when y is 12, they say the x is 4. So we need to figure out what the k is. The k is always the same number, even when the y and the x change. So it ends up being k equals 3. Yeah, because 4 times 3 equals 12. Wonderful. So our formula would actually be y equals 3x. So it says, what if x was a 9? What if x was a 9? And so if we say if x was a 9 and we put a 9 in there, we get y equals 3 times 9. So y would equal 27. It says find y. It doesn't say find the equation. We're actually going to have an answer that's just a number. All right, if g varies inversely. Inversely means we're going to have on the bottom, it says g varies inversely with r. So instead of just having y and x, we're going to say g varies inversely with r. And then they go ahead and they give us some stuff to work with. They give us a G of 18, and they give us an R of 4. And so if we want to find out what the K is, we're going to multiply those two together, multiply 18 and 4, and we get K equals 18 times 4. 18 times 4 is 4 times, that's, I'm going to do some math here. That's 80, no. Somebody better help me out. That's 72. Okay, so we end up with 72 is our K. So we can rewrite our equation as G equals 72 over R. They say, okay, do you write the equation? No, they actually give you an R and they say find the G. Just find whatever the G would be that matches up when the R is 6. So we say G equals 72 divided by 6. And we go ahead and divide that. And so G equals 72 divided by 6 is 12. Number 10. The cost of tuition varies directly as the number of credit hours. You take more classes, it costs more. The cost of 12 credit hours is $11.64. What did 10 credit hours cost? So we're going to set this up. It varies directly. So we're going to try to use the same type of formula. Varies directly. We're going to say y equals kx, where y is our cost of tuition and x is the hours taken. Okay. So what we're really looking for is this k. And if we think about what that represents, what does that number actually represent? So if we take 1 credit hour, we would just multiply it by 1. So this is actually the cost per credit. So we're going to go ahead and plug these in, and we want to figure out the cost per credit. So that's pretty straightforward. We're going to put the y on top. To find the k, we can say k equals the cost of $11.64 divided by 12. If we just want to find out what 1 hour was, we took 12 for this price. I'm going to jump over to my calculator. And I've got $11.64 divided by 12. And so I got 97. So it would be tempting to just say, oh, my answer is 97, right? But that's not what 97 means. 97 is the cost per credit hour, which means if I do 10 credit hours, I need to multiply that by 10. So I'm just going to say 97 times 10, so that's 970. I'm going to stop right there, and hopefully that gets you started. If you're struggling to get moving on this, I really wanted to just get you rolling.